to the Raising Killen podcast. My name is Marsh Naidu, and I blog at raisingkillen.org, where we curate resources for families experiencing disabilities. It is my privilege and honor to introduce to you my friends Mandeep, Kaur, as well as Leah Williamson from Family Voices of Tennessee. On this episode 174, we are going to be talking about all things advocacy. Family Voices of Tennessee works in collaboration with the Tennessee Disability Coalition. So that is something that is well noted as well. As always, remember the information on this podcast is purely educational. And if you seek advice for your specific situation, to contact a trained professional. So grab that cup of coffee, put your feet up, and get ready for some awesome conversation. Hi, Mandeep. Hi, Leah. Welcome today.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
Hi, Marsh. Thank you for having us.
Leah, let's start off with you, please, ma'am. Can you briefly introduce yourself to the listeners, as well as perhaps let us know how you came to Family Voices of Tennessee?
Oh, absolutely. So, I am a Tennessee transplant. I was born and raised in Alaska. I had joined the Navy a week after my 18th birthday and thought I was well on my way to a naval career, being a dentist. That didn't happen. I instead became an advocate. I have 4 children, and all of them have at least one disability. And so my oldest was born with a severe to profound sensory neuro hearing difference. And so he is what we like to say super deaf. And he very much taught me about self-advocacy and how to find resources. When I was active duty, he did not receive a newborn hearing screening. And so just trying to get a diagnosis we had to advocate for. And it was not lost on me that I was working in a medical clinic, in a medical facility. I was in the dental clinic, but we also worked, alongside the regular medical clinic, and just trying to get that figured out between being dual active duty and trying to take care of, a little one. He was only about 2.5 or 3 when we were like, all right, it's time to get a hearing test for him. So we did all the things we could. And when we decided to get out of the Navy, we did end up getting a hearing screening for him, and he was diagnosed, and it was services. We were immediately connected to services, and it was fantastic. We were in the land of milk and honey in Washington State in Silverdale. His teacher came to the house once a week. It was great. And then we moved to Tennessee, and it was a lot different. The landscape for resources for my son was a lot different. And so I just started trying to soak in as much information as I possibly could. I went to any and every single event that I saw that had anything to do with deafness. He got a deaf mentor. We did all of the things. And I was at a community event, and I met my former supervisor. And she said, hey, would you like to volunteer? She's like, I have a position that's coming open soon. Well, are you interested? And I was like, yeah, sure. Why not? I was being a stay-at-home mom. By then I had a second child, Malachi. And when I started volunteering at events, I was painting nails at a community event, and she said, okay, yeah, you got it. I was like, I don't know what it is, but okay. And so I started out very part-time. I was working about 20 hours a week as a parent guide, and just sharing my experience of trying to get resources. Then a position came up as a peers parent guide. And so I did that. And it was that connection with families, making sure that at time of diagnosis, they knew where to go and what to do. It is one thing to know that your child has a diagnosis, and then it's another thing to navigate a system that you are not familiar with. And most parents that have a child that's been born with a different hearing level or hearing difference, their baby is the first one that they've met. And that part-time position turned into a full-time position. And then somehow I became the director. But I've been with Family Voices of Tennessee for 11 years, and I love this work. I love the work that we do. I love the fact that we are parents, working with other parents, supporting them in their journeys, and making sure that they are connected to all those resources that our state has, and understanding that honesty that's in this work that we do, and just saying, hey, it's not always going to be perfect, but there's always going to be support.
Now, Mandeep, you and I did Partners in Policy Making together. For those listening out, I highly recommend that you check out this program through the Tennessee Council on Developmental Disabilities. It's a free 8-month program, and please check that out. But Mandeep, you are a family advocate as well at Family Voices of Tennessee. Can you please let listeners know a little something about your journey into advocacy?
Yes, sure, Marsh. It was so good to meet you through the partners, and I really enjoy our friendship and all the advocacy work that we do together. Thank you for having us on. So, my name is Mandeep Kaur, and I live in Jackson, Tennessee. I have 2 boys. The eldest one is a neurotypical, and my younger one has autism spectrum disorder and other medical complex needs. And he is the one who brought me into the advocacy journey. Originally, my education is in pharmacy. I'm a Bachelor of Pharmacy from India, and I didn't pursue my career in pharmacy because of the rule changes that happened a few years back in United States. But long story short, my younger one came into my life, and we learned about his disability and other needs, and we were the family who were trying to navigate the system for his needs and for ourselves, for finding the resources and other things that were needed to have a typical or a little better life, a daily life. And then while doing all that, I came across Family Voices of Tennessee as an organization who showed up for my family, and they were a huge help, and they provided us with all the resources and all the support that we needed at that time. When your kid is diagnosed with a disability, you're strangling around so many things. You don't know what to do, and you need that support and that person who validates your concerns and helps you support through your problems that you're facing on the every day of your life. So Family Voices of Tennessee did that for me, for my family and my son. And then eventually I got involved with them doing the volunteer work. I became their parent mentor, and I helped quite a few families get that support that was provided to my family when we needed it. And while working through all that, I did do few other courses into advocacy journey, like Partners in Policy Making, volunteer advocacy project with Vanderbilt Kennedy Center. So I did get involved in the disability community, and I am a statewide member for few councils like TTAB, SPPC, and FAC with Health Department. So while doing all this, I came across this job that opened up last year for the family advocate, and actually my supervisor before, Leah, was the one to get me into all this, and she was like, oh, we're gonna have a job, maybe you should apply for it. I got excited. I was like, yeah, why not, let's try it. And then I applied and I got selected. I've been with Family Voices for only about 8 months, but it really feels like that I know these people for years. The whole staff at Family Voices of Tennessee is very supportive. So I always say that I got the best mentors training me, and I do my duty to help the families navigate the challenges that come with the disability of their child. And I try to encourage the families to learn more about their rights, and because I informed parents parent can do a lot more for themselves and their kids than anybody else can. So that's what is about my role at Family Voices of Tennessee.
So, how is Family Voices of Tennessee structured for a parent to make contact with you all to receive any support or information? How does that process initiate?
So we have a few different routes of making that connection with families and parents. And it's really interesting how it happens and how well it works. We're always looking for improvements, of course. So the one way is that we receive referrals from the Department of Health for newborn screenings, and that lets us know if a little one was born with a disability. We also have a contract with the Department of Health for newborn hearing screenings. So making sure that anybody that is born with a disability in our state is, or a special healthcare need or chronic illness, is getting connected to family support. Another way is self-referrals. So we have a form on our website called a Get Connected form, and it can be a self-referral or maybe a hospital, like social work from the hospitals, other community agencies. We rely a lot on word of mouth as well as our contracts. But what we see, I think, what is one thing that I like to brag on is the word of mouth about how another parent says, I got great support from them, you should talk to them. And then that parent being open enough to reaching out to us and doing a self-referral. We're also in the community a whole lot. And so going to community events and having those one-on-one conversations with parents and bringing them also into the fold, and saying, hey, how can we support you? It's that relief that we have all experienced and needed. Somebody that sees us that says, okay, yeah, I got it. I understand exactly what you're trying to navigate, and so that's what a lot of our referral system relies upon.
So this question goes to both you ladies, right? Advocacy is never a one and done deal. There are continuous challenges to the systems as systems evolve and change, and therefore our advocacy changes as that policy changes, right? Recently, we have heard about the Department of Justice opinion on the Olmstead decision that came out in June, and this has caused, I would say, in some cases, a flurry of emotions. However, some of those emotions, due to historic events, just they have some significance. So, what kind of feedback, Leah or Mandeep, whoever would like to take the question, what kind of feedback, what has kind of come from Family Voices of Tennessee in terms of this opinion?
And I'll start, and Mandeep, if you'd like to kind of hop in there wherever you want. But what I will say is that we believe that the Olmstead Act is still the law right now, and that it should still be followed. And we want to make sure that home and community-based services are something that remain at the forefront and remain in Tennessee and remain in our nation. These things it's about the full integration of people with disabilities in our everyday lives, making sure that we know that our children, our family members, our loved ones exist, and making sure that there's space for them to eat, play, live, do wherever they are, and at home. And so staying away from institutions and things like that, it's important. It takes all of us, and we're all each other's village, and making sure that with the Olmstead Act, that remains protected, and that our families, everybody knows someone that has a disability, believe it or not, whether you can see it or not, and at some point, even with age, you never know what's going to happen, and so you want to be able to remain in place with your family, with your loved ones, and remove all barriers.
Mandeep, I think that's something we covered well in our Partners in Policy Making, that disability is a natural part of the human experience. So, but I'm going to keep quiet. So you go ahead, friend.
I think I'm just gonna echo back on what Leah said for Family Voices of Tennessee and Tennessee Disability Coalition. We are gonna stand with the protection of the Homestead Law, and we seriously believe in having anyone enjoy their life the way they wanted and where they wanted. I read this quote somewhere that it should not decide the medical care or the supports that you get. It should not depend on where you live. The access should depend on what you need. So this comes from the statement that has been shared by Family Voices of Tennessee. Family Voices of Tennessee stands with the National Family Voices of Tennessee message on the Homestead Law. In that, they say that it is important to note that this memorandum is not a court decision. It does not erase Olmstead versus LC 1999, change Supreme Court precedent, or remove ADA Section 504 or the regulations that protect community living. Olmstead is still the law. However, this memo does pave the way for the federal government to not enforce these protections and rulings. So, for people with disabilities and their families and caregivers, this change to how the federal government interprets the decision can negatively impact their rights, while people with disabilities can still bring Olmstead claims without the federal government's enforcement and defense. Many will have to rely on individual state decisions, private lawsuits, and disability rights organizations.
Yeah, so this is that statement is directly from Family Voices National, and
Yes.
at Family Voices of Tennessee, we follow sort of their directives and their statements. We are in alignment with them as well.
So, ladies, let me ask this question. We're kind of coming up to our 20 minutes. What events do you all have coming up? What would you all like families to know?
Well, we have been very busy. We just came off of having a conference back in June, and we met a lot of new families. We were in Franklin, Tennessee, talking about anything from advocacy to ECF, and Katie Beckett, Mandeep did a fabulous presentation. I can't say, I'm so proud. I can't say enough about her doing that. I am ridiculously proud of her. But in October, so over the summer, we did a couple of parties in the park, but in Memphis, it got too hot and we had a weather delay. So we will be having a party in the park in Memphis, here in Shelby County, where I reside, October 17th, and we will be there from about 11 a.m. to about 1 p.m. And hopefully the weather holds up. October is a little bit nicer, so we will be able to be out there. And it's a time to be together and connect and, meet new people that are advocating for disability rights and services and all of those things that bring us all together in our state. We also, of course, be on the lookout for the Save the Date for Disability Day on the Hill. That's another one of our events that we participate in with the Tennessee Disability Coalition every year. And we have a lot of activities, and the Community Day party that happens the day before Disability Day on the Hill is always a great time. We are always looking for people to become engaged. We are always looking for parent mentors. So if you have, a family member with a special healthcare need, chronic illness, or disability, reach out to us and let us know. You can find us on our website at www.familyvoicestn.org. Reaching out to us that way, just we want to bring we want more partners in crime, is what I'm saying. I think it's important for us all to really connect, especially in times like these. It can feel heavy, and we want it to be less heavy. Let us share your load with you.
Ladies, I want to thank both of you for your time, and this has been an excellent way for us to connect the resources offered by Family Voices of Tennessee to our listeners. And I would, Mandeep, like you to perhaps close off if you would like to do that, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up, guys.
Yes, Marsh, I just do want to share this that Family Voices of Tennessee is right here, ready to help the families. We do have support groups on Facebook, which we monitor very closely. We have a support group for Katie Baggett families, ECF families for all three parts of the Tennessee, East, Middle, and West. And then we have our main page, Family Voices of Tennessee, which we use to communicate with the disability community regarding any upcoming events or any information that we want to share with the families. And it is very easy to reach out to us. We do not want any family struggling just by themselves, feeling alone, trying to navigate the complex medical needs or the systems by themselves. We want the parents to have that power and that knowledge and be empowered, and we will do anything to support the families who need help. We are all the employees of Family Voices of Tennessee either have a disability themselves or they are the family member who has a disability. So we all have lived this journey ourselves, and we navigate the system every day in our daily lives. And we would love to share your load with us and bring more knowledge and empowerment to other families.
Thank you so much, Mandeep. Thank you so much, Leah. And guys, please check out Family Voices of Tennessee as an amazing resource to connect and share their knowledge base with. And thank you for listening along on the podcast today. We appreciate a rate and review of this episode. And as always, remember, get to the top of your mountain. This is Marsh Naidu signing off.